qualify for health insurance, police retirement, and so on and so forth in this area?
Six full-time employees qualify for health insurance.
Police retirement?
That's a doozy. That's the fun thing the state did about your time, wasn't it?
Two.
No, I'm looking at your former representative.
Two.
The state decided that the police retirement was way underfunded, and they're making us fund it. The state isn't doing what it used to about funding it, so we have to. And the, what is it?
25%.
25% of what we pay the policemen, the amount of money equal to 25% of what we pay the policemen, we contribute to their retirement fund in the state fund.
Two people?
Two and six?
Correct. Six full-time employees.
You got six in the highway, full-time employee?
No,
No.
Linda's a full-time employee. Two policemen are full-time employees.
What portion do they have to pay towards their medical insurance?
13.5%.
Does that go up every year, go down?
It goes up whenever the school's contract goes up.
Goes up when the school.
Correct. We have, it's been our custom, which is not cast in stone, to align that percentage with the school's contract.
How many in the highway again?
No.
Actually, there's
No.
four, so
All
I
the
think that.
employees for the highway is 3. 3.5. Thank you.
Because he splits his time.
Well, that's the bottom half.
We have one employee that splits his time at the transfer station.
Thank you. Driving out the truck.
I say you line all that up with the school.
Have you guys investigated opportunities to work with other small municipalities?
I think what we're waiting to see is how the ACA pans out. That's where I am. I signed up successfully. I get a great subsidy. Great for me. Goals on it.
All right, here we go. Let's stay focused on where we are here. No, Lenko, question.
Yeah, on the, I sent Joel a note, I guess, last week where the Supreme Court decided on that local government center case. And Tom must be getting some money back from that.
We will, but it hasn't been revealed to us yet. And we were only in that program for 2 years. So it's not going to be a salvation-sized bag of money. Rich is talking about the LGC's insurance trust, which the courts have decided charge too much for premiums for participating towns. It's millions of dollars, but unfortunately our share won't be millions of dollars. We just don't know what it is yet. But we will celebrate that number with you when we find out what it is.
When do you expect to hear that? I mean,
We haven't even been given a delivery date yet. There's a suggestion that there might be an appeal, but I don't understand where they would go with that.
I mean, yeah, it's true.
So I'm just reading it off the LGC website like you at the moment. I think it is actually the right decision. It's a public, it's a trust, held in public trust to offset medical expenses for participating towns.
Okay, roll over to page 4 to finish up on the benefits. Planning and zoning.
Both planning board and zoning board have been very quiet. Not much happening. Not much for subdivisions, not much for new uses of property.
I think that's probably changed.
Either of those boards looking for members?
Yes. Well,
Both boards are looking for members.
Yeah, it's a great way to stick your toe in town government. Which isn't really a very bad place to be. I rather like it. But that's where I started on the zoning board, and then the planning board. It's interesting stuff. Zoning board meets once a month, and the planning board meets once a month. We'd be glad to have anybody.
It's probably a good time as any to announce that we're also looking for a school board representative, which meets considerably more often than once a month. It's a huge job. And we just learned this evening that that seat that represents us has become vacant again. And I can promise you that your selectmen will be out twisting arms to see if we can't recruit a candidate. It's a terrible job. I did it for 7 years. I hated it. Doesn't pay anything, and there's a lot of free abuse, but it is actually, no, I'm not kidding, but it's hugely important, not only culturally, but financially. I happen to think that the selectman's office gives you more opportunity to be effective, and the dollars are a lot smaller to be worried about, but it's a very important job, and I would like to encourage any of you who have an inkling that you might be interested to talk to me or to Linda, who is currently on the school board representing Acworth, about just how horrible it is and how wonderful it could be. I'm trying to be as candid as I can. It's not a trivial decision. And if I tricked you into it by telling you that it was a wonderful trip, you would be at my house after your second meeting with a pitchfork and a torch.
Yeah, and it's an important job. It's the school board that spends that big number, 3,052 of this number, when we're only getting this number here.
All right, general government.
That box should have been bigger than the county box.
He's gonna write Nazi scale next time. General government. Yes, big name.
I just wondered what the GG wages were, what is that, who does that go to, and what does it do?
It is cleaning the town hall,
Okay.
it's cleaning over to the municipal offices, it's picking up trash for the friendly meals and for the town offices. Let's see, what else?
Mostly in the form of Sam Com.
What?
It's mostly in the form of Sam Com. Is he here tonight?
Catches a lot of little things, quite honestly. Mr. Cartwright was first. You're gonna have to hang on to it.
All right.
And stand up. I can barely see you.
Yeah, the general government wages,
I'm
is that
sorry?
so? This general government wages, that cost for one of our present employees, or is that a different?
Well,
employee?
we just got that one. I'm gonna have to talk louder. That's for the cleaning of this building. It's the cleaning of the town offices. It catches a lot of little.
Right, but is
Stop.
it one of our present employees, or
Sam
is it a
Tom.
different
No,
employee?
Sam Com.
it's very often Sam.
Is that a contract or who's not?
No, per hour.
Per hour.
He also cleans the post office. You might have seen him there.
That's a post office.
And the library.
That's
Jody.
So you're basically telling me that people who use this room right here do not pick up after themselves? And we have to pay to have it cleaned?
No, that's not true. This room was in great shape when we got here. Now, it doesn't mean Sam didn't do the floor, but he didn't pick up the food in the chairs.
So you
and
don't
the-
really know if he did or not?
I can tell you that Sam doesn't really clean this place.
Doesn't he?
I mean, I
All
think
right,
he comes
just
through once in
checking.
a while, but they do a pretty good job here. Yeah, they really do.
What does that pay per hour? You know?
That pays $12 an hour.
Maybe somebody who owes money on their taxes would be interested in doing that instead. It would cost us money.
Do we put you in charge of that program?
I would love it. I would love it.
We'll see how we go with this program.
Mary Lou would like to speak, please.
In all the years that the library has been cleaned, since we've been using this 26 years, nobody has done a cleaning job like Sam Hall. He's a very hard worker, he does an excellent job, takes care of everything. He's phenomenal,
Okay, thank you for
very
that.
dedicated.
Yeah?
Now, is this the fuel for police, private fire, and highway department?
It is.
Total cost?
Yes.
Ira's on to page 5 under general government.
Actually, before we move there,
Okay, wait a minute.
No, I don't.
Guys, Mike.
okay, Glenn Alstead, sir, federal government grants, we had $15,000 last year, we didn't spend any of that, another $15,000 this year. Do we anticipate what we're spending that on, or is that?
No, I just saw that, and it probably should come out.
Okay, thank you.
We don't have anything in the development there, but we do over on the communication
Right.
side, which you haven't seen yet. I can talk about that, it's small money, but remember, when you go for a grant, or you're thinking about going for a grant, it has to get into the budget at this stage, or we can't receive the money should we be awarded the grant. And most of the grants we see have a match, which is where that money comes from, or, which is why that dollar figure is what it is.
Which kind of reminds me of one quick note that you probably should know. If there's something that you're holding in your pocket that you're just going to wait till February to discuss, it first needs to be discussed here if it's going to be discussed in February. It doesn't have to be discussed a lot, but at least has to be mentioned. Otherwise, we will not be able to talk about it in February by law.
That sounds quite unfair.
So,
That sounds quite unfair.
That's the SDG process.
yeah.
When we talk about everything,
No, we're talking about the budget, that takes that in. But suppose you wanted, I don't know, if you wanted a cell tower on your front lawn, we would need to talk about that tonight. Like saying, I want a cell tower on my front lawn. That would be the end of the conversation for now.
I'm dying to hear what Ms. McShane has to say.
Right here. Are all town buildings heated with heating oil?
Some of them are heated with waste oil, but they're all heated with oil.
Do all these thermostats have timers for energy efficiency? Or
John?
all these buildings have?
Done.
That's the guy over there.
This one does, and the library does. I don't know about the town offices, and I'm pretty sure that, there's one that I know, although the East Alstead Fire Station really should have something.
The answer to the larger question is that because of John's contributions, we're on a multi-year energy audit for each of the town properties. And the first one, and the most expensive one, and the most successful one to date has been the library. We just can't do it at 100 miles an hour. We did pay with your money we raised and appropriated for the purpose, for a thorough analysis of the municipal building this year. We expect that that will result in recommendations that have a price tag about insulation, setback timers, who knows? But we
That
like
might
the
be a
firm
lot
we've been
cheaper.
dealing with.
That ought to be a lot cheaper than the library.
I hope so.
Why can't we go ahead right now and, because there's money hanging around, quote unquote, to have these timers put in now and start the savings?
Because we like to think about it quite a lot and be as sure as we can that we put the right thermostat in at the right place.
Plus, they don't always save.
Well, like, is this building heated for, in generally 2 functions a week?
Yes.
This building is maintained at 72
No.
degrees.
No, it's got a thermostat right on the wall.
Right behind you is the program thermostat.
So it is programmed.
Yes.
Yes.
We're very lucky it's not freezing in here right now.
But it's not freezing in here now because it's a Tuesday.
Got Glenn here. Glenn?
Now, I know we were talking about putting overhead doors for the fire station, we're gonna put that under building, weren't you, or?
Yeah.
Is that what that $20,000 is for?
Well, $20,000 is for buildings. If we decide that we're gonna go with the door thing, then, you know, it could come out of that
People
one.
aware that that's where some of that money may go.
That's where some of the money may go. Right now, what we're really looking more at is the energy audit and seeing what that's gonna cost for the town offices, quite frankly. I mean, if we were to prioritize, I would assume that that's our priority, it's my priority. So, I mean, it's kind of an unexact thing, you know.
hid in here?
It?
Not good, it's on the line, it's on general government.
It's building, we don't even know how much the door would cost yet. We sent out an RFP and nobody responded.
The reason for the door is, because of the thinking of getting a new fire truck?
No, the reason for the door is when other towns come to cover us, they often come with a truck that doesn't fit in our fire station, which relegates it to the outdoors, which 6 months a year may relegate it to freezing unless it's left running.
Oh, well, how often does that happen?
A lot.
It happens enough that we felt a bit neighborly all we're doing is looking at the price of it. We haven't even gotten a price for it yet. Again, the priority would be, at $20,000, would be to insulate town offices, at least that's mine, I can't speak for the other two. And, you know, we need a couple other things in the maintenance thing. We've got a lot of rotted wood going on up at the East Station. It needs to be either replaced and painted and or wrapped in tin. The town barn's got some rotted sills that need attending to. There's a lot of different things that we've got to put prices to. We're not going to spend a lot of time coming up with prices until we can be rest assured that we can get some money.
So this is, like I've been told in the past, selectmen, they can spend the money any way they want, as long as they don't go over the total budget.
It can, but if you
Well,
look,
technically that's true, but that's not what we're talking about right now.
No, but
We have
that's
one line that would,
Right.
you know, a dozen different projects could fit within that line in terms of the total, of a total amount of money on the line.
Can we have a say on those projects?
That's what we're here for. We talk about what we need to do, and if this is the year to do it.
But he's talking about the doors, and Mike's talking about the sills and everything, so I mean, I know, let's say we voted on that, we had so much money. Are you gonna decide how you're gonna split that up, or can we have a say?
you always have a say.
You're having your say
You
right
always have
now.
a say, but I'm not prepared right now to call a public hearing for each time we decide to spend a certain I mean, unless you guys really wanna have one.
We can talk about that tonight, we can talk about it in February. What do you want to say about it?
Effectively, we've got two citizens that regularly show up. Glenn's almost every week, and Matt's at least once a month, sometimes 2 or 3 times a month.
That man.
Why don't we listen to what she has to say? What is it you'd like to say about it?
I'm just asking that, you know, when we decide on this, I understand that there's different things that you want to do with this, with the building.
Every year.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
right, so, what if I don't agree with what you're gonna spend the money on?
You just say so.
Where? Where do you say so?
Right here, you come to any selectmen's meeting on Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
Everything's decided at those meetings, nothing's decided in between,
Right.
Right,
every single thing.
every single thing.
Would be against the law to do it otherwise now. I'm not saying we haven't slipped up and said something in an email or a phone call that we
No,
shouldn't
I'm
have.
just saying, yeah, you're right, that's why people want to
It is, it's very important that people go to these selection meetings. We've been going since December, since we got our tax bills. And one of the things that on here, you can see town forester, that's no longer added for a request this year, because did you decide to give that money to Dave, because he is going to take over that job, or?
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
not Dave personally, but we put it in the DOT budget, because what we did was, all right, so we had some problems
We
with,
don't need to.
well, she opened the box, so I'll do it as quick as I can,
That's
okay?
why you go to the selectmen meetings.
Right, exactly, because it is a story, isn't it?
It is.
And it went for 2 or 3 weeks. So basically, we had some issues with some town roads with some loggers. We said, well, we're gonna make them get a bond. And then we had a couple of loggers who made a really good argument, local loggers, about why bonding is a bad idea. So we said, well, what's your suggestion? He said, our suggestion is you just get more vigilant with your highway department about watching your roads. Take pictures, make sure you know that to make sure they know they're being watched. That's what you do. So we said, okay, that sounds like a reasonable idea. So we took the money out of the town forester, we put it into David, and now David's gonna be in charge of when a town road, especially a class 6 road, is gonna be used for logging access, to go out there, make sure he shakes their hand, introduces himself, takes pictures, and makes sure that they all know that we're watching, so that when they leave, we'll shake their hand again, and if they haven't done their job, then we'll take the next course of action, which is, well, could be that legal line we were reading about.
Does Dave normally go on those roads anyway, just for checking when he's out?
Not always the class 6.
Because I noticed no one checked, obviously, last year if no money was spent.
Well, it really hadn't been a problem till last year, quite frankly. Last year, it happened in 3 or 4 different places. It became a real issue.
I'm just saying, when they start looking at the highway budget as a whole, think of this $500 that has gone in there and the increase in the particular wage, you know, that is coming up there. That's all. It was eliminated here, but, and I think Dave's well aware of when loggers are out on roads, basically just as when he rides around.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's the perfect place to put it, because they're already out.
You know.
Now, you said the money, we decide where the money's being spent. You just said.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Article 10 last year, the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $135,000 to repair the bridge on Hill Road.
Right.
To repair the bridge. We got 2 temporary bridges up there.
Right, that's what
Well,
the
we
state allowed.
voted to have that repaired, not to put temporary bridges in.
I'll tell you, we had engineers come all the way from
We
National Works
wanted to
up
have
here
it repaired.
to talk about that, and they told me something I hadn't heard before, which I was very surprised about. The average large culvert replacement in New Hampshire costs $900,000. We had $135,000 to do something with that bridge to open the road, and what you see up there is what that money bought. To replace it, better than that, is $500,000.
But it wasn't what the voters voted on.
Ira, you couldn't use it, now you can, it's repaired.
So now what?
That's repair. I mean, I'm not gonna argue about the word of what repair means, you couldn't use it, now you can.
I heard someone say now
Now
what,
what?
which is a great introduction into my pet peeve, which is the state offers 80-20 bridge aid for bridges that are red listed and then patched together, or not. But our turn on the state bridge aid list is 2024 for that bridge, and years later for the next bridge up the hill, which is also at 42%, or what, we just got the report, they expect them every October.
Two more than a red list.
I don't have a good answer for this, but I'm personally certain that $900,000 sunk into that road is not in the town's best interest. I think you're right, we have a vocabulary problem. If you don't think repair means getting back on the road, I personally was the champion of the temporary bridge project, and I think it's still working. But we didn't do it in a vacuum. We talked to highway, we talked to fire, we talked to police, and we had a public hearing about it.
And last year, at this stage, there was a repair talked about for that culvert, which was what was it, injecting concrete in the holes, and, I mean, we talked about 4 different ways to do that, and chose this one.
How long is this gonna last?
The firm that we have dealt with has built about 900 of these over the last 21 years, 22 years, and none of them have been condemned or failed.
So, but it is still listed as a temporary bridge.
And there's a good reason for that too.
So it is
Because it
temporary.
keeps us eligible for the state bridge aid, should we decide in 2024 to spend $200,000.
$180,000, right?
Right. It's whatever 20% of whatever the 2024 price tag is. That money may be there when we're ready to spend it, but we don't have to spend it.
Is there any liability that's opened up because of that thing being a temporary bridge and something too big goes over it and?
We got
Next
it.
thing you know.
We made the state come and inspect it special, and they wrote us a letter that said, this meets our standards, it's good to go. I shouldn't tell them this, it's posted for 6 tons, it's rated for 45.
Yay!
Well, there's a reason for that, right?
That's
We want to keep that commercial logging traffic up. Part of this came from that giant clear cut up on the corner of Homestead and Fry Road, which was part of our earlier discussion. It's a gamble.
Just got a question, I just got a question, on the bridge, it's $315,000 that it's gonna cost us basically, when you get this thing fixed eventually, if you take the state aid, is that what you're saying?
No, what I was trying to say was, if the state aid exists in 2024, which
So we take
we doubt,
2024.
they will pay 20% of whatever their design costs.
Is it a possibility to close the road?
It is always a possibility to close the road.
Can we
The
vote on
fire department and the police department and the ambulance department don't recommend it, but it's always a possibility. Robert, you had your hand up for a long time.
Well, first of all, the state
Craigslist
is coming in and telling us what we have to do on a town roadway. And that goes up my butt sideways. Second thing is, when we fixed that bridge, we got, as you mentioned, another bridge up above.
2 more.
And then if we look at that roadway, there's cracks in that roadway all the way up, which tells you that whole road is slowly sliding down that ravine. So we can put in a $2 million bridge, and we just bit into a chunk of bad times that's just gonna keep coming and coming. Close the road down, shut it down, and tell the state, you wanna open the road, you put the bridge in.
Absolutely.
That's an approach.
That would require a couple of public hearings to say the least, but we could do it.
If there's any general support for that idea, we'd be happy to
I
arrange for
said
it.
it a month ago at the selectmen's meeting, and it was completely, you acted like I was cutting off the person who was at the end of the road's head.
Well, I don't agree that we should close the road, but I am your servant. And if we decide collectively that the road will be closed, it will be closed. The cool thing about those temporary bridges, and part of the rationale for using that technology, is we can pick them up and move them to another failed culvert, of which I can guarantee you we're gonna have one. Yes, sir, your name?
How long, Vic, that's the one, East Alstead. How long is the waiting list if you close that road? Is there an application or something that has to be filled out with the state to have them take it over?
They don't take them over. We have filled out, paperwork for that.
So it's 10 years out.
Yeah.
It's 10 years out. We own two temporary bridges. Two.
And you're both there, so they're in that one spot.
Yeah, one spot.
Right.
I get it.
Bob? Bob?
You do close that road. If we gotta look, before you close that, I think you better do something with the Comstock Road first.
Well, let's have a timeout on road closures for the moment. Let's agree that we will have, everybody agree, to selection? At some point this year, we will have a public hearing on closing Hill Road. And I expect everybody who wants it closed to be there.
How about April?
We put $135,000 in, why would we close it?
Because if you
Because you can move it.
Talking about it now is really just so moved.
And then it's gonna cost them $35,000.
Well, okay, Mr. Barrett.
I just have one
Explanation was
question.
less
Sure, whoa.
less than 30.
That road was damaged by the flooding,
Mm-hmm.
and guardrails went out, we went in there and dumped a bunch of fill in the back, and guardrails never went back up. Seems to me that the state, we could have used some of that flood money to repair that road when it washed like that. And I've asked about those guardrails to be put back up, and
Steve, looking at that part of it this time?
that was damaged from the flood.
We do have an open application in the FEMA to pay for some repairs on that road. I can't tell you what the details are, but they involve that slide between the two bridges. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They haven't been all that responsive, but I predict that we will eventually get an answer that will come with a little bit of money.
We hope.
Until then, I'm reluctant to do much about it, because if we fix it now, they won't give us any money.
Nicole?
Mine's South Road, I live on Hill Road, and I understand that it is a lot of money to go into a road, but you also have to think, okay, say, we all live on a road, okay, so are we just gonna keep closing roads because we don't wanna pay more on taxes? I don't wanna pay more on taxes either, but we have to really think about, ambulance, the police, just quicker access. So just before we start closing things, I think we really need to think about that.
So how about a public hearing in April, and we can hash it all out?
Yep.
Plenty of advance publicity, we'll try to get people from both sides of the equation there. And maybe I'll get a little bit smarter about, do we even have the authority to try to get the state to take over a failing road? I think I already know the answer, but I'll have chapter and verse by then.
Cemeteries. Always excited. Rich?
Yeah, a question, Joel, if you guys have taken the time to look into the electricity situation at all?
Yes, I am waiting to get back to hear back from a company that maybe the school renewed their contract, and they have a lot more power going with them, and Alstead and Walpole may be able to couple up and get a real good price through another company.
What Rich asked was sort of off topic, but it's important. It's now possible for anybody in this room who has liberty to buy part of their electricity bill from another supplier at, I think, a significant discount. It's up around 8 or 9%. We've had good luck in the last decade and a half or so since Jamie Teague has been on board at the school in buying fuel, going in with them to buy fuel oil. It's really saved us a significant amount of money. Linda's doing the legwork on the research to do exactly the same thing with electricity. I fully support it. We're not going in there by ourselves, so we have a little bigger bat to swing. Make sense?
I Yeah, for everybody, for the general interest of everybody, it's fairly straightforward. You know, there are a number of suppliers, and even if the supplier you pick went belly up, you still get your electricity. You just revert back to.
It's not a different color or anything like that.
It's not a different color, you get the same bill, it's just, has a different name on the supply side, and it's low.
That's for a year, isn't it?
6 months.
I just got my electric bill, and I switched, I